Alright, hello everybody at Gould Gaming. My name is Inertiatic and you're watching my tutorial video on how to use Open Broadcaster software. You are listening to Whispering Solo Piano Radio, and let's hop right in. So, this is my computer, and I will show you what you kind of want to be doing, or at least the idea behind what you want to be doing. So we have Game Capture HD installed and Sound Capture installed, and we're using my computer and I'm remoted in. So just for reference though, I usually use the Advanced tab, and I keep these both checked, which means that any sound produced by the thing that you've plugged into your Elgato card will be piped through your computer, and you'll be able to hear it through your headphones if you use this program. This doesn't mean that everything you hear is heard by your audience. It just means that you hear everything like the way you want it to, and then the way you make sure everybody else hears everything is slightly more than that. So there's two ways of doing this. You can use OBS Studio, which is kind of the vanilla version, or the Streamlabs OBS version, which is also sometimes referred to as slobs. So we'll use Classic first. Now, I already have a bunch of stuff in the scene, so we'll just make our own. Your scene and program is going to open like this. You'll have a black screen with nothing there. You'll just have scene, and these two things will not even exist. So to get started, you would want to right click on your sources, because a scene is a collection of sources that make up your video. You want to add, and then you want to go to, well, I guess we could talk about all of them. Audio input capture is for if you have a microphone, so you'll want to use the Blue Yeti through the audio input capture. So you'll click on that, and you won't have these two because I have them in two other scenes, so just ignore this. So it would be audio input capture, but because I have one, it sticks a 2 on the end. So call it whatever you like, really. Blue Yeti, and hit OK. And then you will choose your device from this drop-down menu, and it should just say Blue Yeti standard USB 3.0 microphone. Select it, hit OK, and then it'll be here, and you'll see that when you speak into it and it's active, that you have a volume meter, and you can adjust the slider, or you can just completely kill it here. And then if you come into this gearbox, you have the advanced audio properties, and you can choose which track in your file that this device writes to. So yeah, and you have the volume percentage, you have the panning, if you want to synchronize it by a certain offset for some reason, or if you really need to. And then there's also monitoring off, monitor only. This can actually be a little helpful if you want to hear something but you don't want it to make it to the stream. Then you would do the mute output. And then if you want to both hear it and make sure everyone else can hear it, you do this monitor and output, and it's kind of a test. So those are your three sort of audio monitoring settings. So that is the first type of source, an audio input capture, which is generally a microphone. I don't use audio output capture, but I believe you could do so if you want to use virtual audio cable programs and extra audio stuff, but I find that confusing and it's not really necessary for my setup. A browser capture is a relatively new thing. You can do an actual capture of an actual website, and you don't really need to have it open in another browser either. So they have this default, right, OBS Studio. So we can take this and drag it. And then also sometimes you'll have to log into the browser. You can right click and hit interact. And now it actually pulls up an interactive version. It really actually displays the website for you. So that's cool because Streamlabs does not do that. And there's one instance where that's kind of a problem. So, you know, if I click on it here, nothing reacts. There's no reaction at all. So that's browser. The one you're going to want right now to get the Elgato on the screen is video capture device. So we'll just jump ahead to that. A lot of these other ones make sense, but we'll go to the one we need right now and then I'll discuss the others. So for video capture device, you're going to want to create a new one and then you can call it Elgato or game background or primary source, you know, whatever you like. So I think Elgato is generally a good and safe answer to go with. You'll find it down here. You'll choose, I don't generally go with the video and #01 because I don't believe sound carries through on that layer. So you want to choose the device itself, and it will put up the no signal screen here, or it will actually show you what's going through it if you have something connected and going to it. This configure video button opens the settings for Game Capture HD, where you can choose whether or not you want to allow 60 frames per second, which you do, and whether or not it can go up to HD 1080. It doesn't matter what the actual input device is, as long as these two profile settings are the highest that you desire, then you're all set. So that's that. You don't want to deactivate, I think, for fairly obvious reasons, and you should never have to configure the crossbar. I'm not even sure what it is. So you can set the resolution to custom, and then you have a bunch of listed resolutions here. Maybe not a bunch, but a couple. But we'll just leave it on device default. Let's see. You can put it on 1920 and then match the output. This is basically what you would want, so you can leave it. You can switch to custom, put it on your resolution would be higher because you have the 4K version, and then the FPS would be 60 for the smoothest signal. And as you see, it sometimes takes a second. There was a black screen for a moment, but now the audio capture device and video capture device has applied these settings. Down here, the audio output mode, you can capture audio only. And I suppose you could also pipe in the desktop sound. I should test that actually. See, okay, so slight tangent here. When I played the unboxing video for people on my computer, there was no audio on the Twitch and YouTube version, and I think perhaps that maybe if I had one of these settings chosen at the time that there would have been. So it's just something to think about and test. So you have your Elgato, right? You would generally have the no signal thing going on here, so I'm not sure what's up with that right now and why it's not doing that. Oh, did I hit cancel? I guess I did. Sorry. Alright, so we'll blow it up here. Still looks a little off. So instead of device default, we'll go into custom. Change it to 1920 by 1080, 60 frames per second. Thought I did. And there it comes back, so we hit OK. Okay, now it's way too big because we blew it up. So we just want to reset the transform. If you take something and slide it and you say, oh, you know, I just wanted it to be the way it was, or I want it in the center, right? Let's say you're trying to pop this right in the center. You can right click on it while it's got this red perimeter, and you can go to transform wherever it went, and you can say center to screen. And you can do that with anything. Any of the sources will be centered to the screen if that's what you choose to do. So over here now, if you don't want it to move anymore, you would hit this lock button, and then the red frame vanishes and you cannot do anything. You can click other things that are not unlocked and you can move them around. But the thing you just locked now on the top layer will not move if you have it locked. You can also toggle its visibility by clicking on this eyeball here. Just takes it out, puts it back in. It also gets rid of the audio mixer. Interestingly enough, I wasn't even sure about that, but it seems to. So we don't really want it small. I imagine you would want this to be the entire screen, although it really is up to you guys and whatever kind of scene you want to craft. So full-sized, if you wanted to use a webcam, then it would be another video capture device, and here we could add the existing webcam, and I don't think it's that. Properties. I have 2 webcams connected, and so if you have more than one, you want to click on the one that ends up giving you video. So let's see here. I also am not actually home, and the camera in theory is pointing towards a green screen, so you could possibly see the chair, but it looks like it's not really going for it. But as you can see, we have the webcam going on my laptop, so it definitely works, and I'm sure it'll work for you relatively simply. So if you could use your imagination here, we could imagine that Mario Maker is in the background, and we could have our webcam in the lower right. So we'll just put it in for reference. So that's our webcam. The other thing too is for the webcam, right? I use a green screen and you guys have a green screen. So the green screen effect is a chroma key. So you would come into filters, right? One more time. That was on the source, and then you come down to filters. Now here you have audio video filters, and then you have effect filters. Compressor, gain, noise gate, noise suppression. None of these are very useful at all. I don't use any audio video filters, but I do use the effect filter, which, like I said, is the chroma key. There we go. So you could call that green screen or whatever you want, but you choose the color screen you have, and then the similarity is the big setting. This is the one that does most of the work, and then the smoothness is for just a slight bit of refinement. And the color spill reduction I don't personally like, because it basically makes the scene like monotone, reduces it to black and white the further right you slide, so I just would drop that to 0. And so it's just a matter of playing with these 3 settings under proper lighting conditions and such, so that your green screen looks good, or actually rather so that no one can see your green screen and that you look good. Crop is also very helpful for, you would have a preview here, I'm sorry you don't, but you could just imagine what it looks like, I believe. You would have a preview here, and you would just chop the sides off of yourself that show too much space. So between the crop and the chroma key, that's how you get your webcam in the corner, or wherever you want it to be, to look the way you want it to. And if you want to add a frame, you can do something like making an image with a transparent middle, which would be more or less a frame. But I have a channel bug, right? So let's add that. That would be an image. Images are great. You can throw a whole bunch of images on the screen and you just drag them where you want and they sit there. So in my game capture library, I have an images folder, and I have a whole bunch of games that I play and categorizations. So for our channel logo, we'll take the IG logo transparent and hit open, and here we see just a transparent logo, and there it is. Now if you hold and click here, it stays basically in perspective. So that's cool, and you would drag it here. If you find that you're clicking and it doesn't do that, then Control is the key you want to hold, and it will scale in perspective. So with your imagination, we could imagine the webcam being here. We now have the, we should rename this, I believe. We do the IG logo. IG logo. Oh, it actually doesn't like Oh, I see. I have, that's what I call the IG logo in my other scenes. So we'll call it IG graphic, and then it won't give us any issue. So we have the webcam, the Elgato background, and the IG graphic. And you can lock these once they're in a position that you like. So we basically have all the essentials. Next, I guess, would be to talk about how you get your alerts going and the tip jar and all that stuff. For that, you would, you would need to make a Streamlabs account and attach it to your already existing Twitch account, right? And this is not crazy, but this is where it gets crazier. So we'll close this. For a while now, I used OBS Studio, and then I switched to Streamlabs, and now I'm going to go back to OBS Studio for a problem that I'll explain to you when we get into it. So Streamlabs OBS is OBS Studio, but it has kind of a back end to it, and it's missing two critical features. And of course it's showing up on my other monitor, which is a total pain in the butt. Okay. Well, pretty sure that I can just open Streamlabs on this computer, and then we're fine. I'll close out here. So we have Streamlabs OBS, right? We have a display capture and an audio capture. We're not actually using Streamlabs, we're still using this for the recording, but I just want to show you how some of this works. So if you make a Streamlabs account, you should tie it probably to your Twitch account and keep that as your primary account, but you can link a whole bunch of other accounts to this. So editor is what you're probably most familiar with, or will be. This is exactly what we were dealing with in the other OBS version. You have all of your standard sources, and then you have widgets, and widgets are like the next step that you want to take to get the alerts going. So anyway, just real quickly to show it off one more time, you have an image, which could be your channel bug or any static graphic. You have a browser source, which will show a web page for you, which is what we're going to get into, and which plays a crucial part in displaying these alerts, and I'll show you why. An image slideshow is nifty, I guess, if you want to show more than one image but you don't feel like having to manually control the transitioning. Display capture grabs whatever's on your monitor. It's similar to a game capture, but game capture will grab the DirectX files directly, and it's a less resourceful, intensive method of streaming than display capture. Display capture's kind of lazy, but it's good if you just need to grab whatever's on your screen. So they're both good. But if you're streaming a game, you really want to use game capture. Audio input is for microphones. Color source is in case you just want to have a color, a box anywhere here. Oh, so you can literally change whatever color, and it will. We'll cancel because we don't really need it, but I just wanted to demonstrate it to you. So you have all this stuff, which pretty much makes sense, right? So let's go to the part that doesn't make a lot of sense, at least right away. You have your widgets. Widgets do stuff. It's a little more than just a regular source. So the alert box is by far the most common, and it's the one that shows up whenever you get a donation, follow, or bid, or anything like that. You can call it alert box or whatever you like. And it's probably best if you just take a look at this real quick, but then hit done. So here's where the alert will show up, and if you want to test it, you can come down here to test widgets and click follow, and bang, there it is. Subscription, bang, there it is. And I think we'll even get
this is a test.
Yep, there you go. We have text-to-speech on the resubscription messages. So, donation, bits, is what it sounds like when you guys give me cheer with the bits, and hosting, which is cool. These are all bogus figures just for testing. when you go live again, I believe it wipes all that stuff from your history. So, alert box, like how do we set this up, right? So the way you do this would be typically going to properties, and then you can click on go to widget settings, or you could just come up here and click off of editor and go to dashboard, and you'll see all of this when it loads. Actually, what is this little arrow here? Let me just, oh, I see. It's chat. We don't really need that. So the alert box is what we put into our stream, and that's what we're on, the alert box. Now, if you're using OBS Classic or Studio or XSplit or virtually anything except Streamlabs, you're going to use this URL in here as a browser source, and you're going to lay it over your video, right? So we'll do that real fast. We'll come over to the one we're actually recording with, and we'll do a browser source, and we hit OK. And here in the URL, we're going to copy our widget URL. Now, you notice there's nothing here, which is great. That's good because there's no alert. So we're just gonna click follow. There it is. So this is how you would use alerts that are provided by Streamlabs OBS, but without having to use Streamlabs OBS. And so I didn't really think that anyone needed to know this or that it mattered, but it kind of does, and I'll tell you why. Facebook is particularly annoying. And what I mean by that is if you go to Facebook, right, there's this streamer dashboard here. You have alerts that come from Facebook. You have stars and shares if you want, right? You can basically have all these checked, and then you get if you are in the level up program with Facebook, you get stars. Now, the way you would make this work, I just hit the test star alert and nothing happened, right? Like nothing's happening. So in order to get something to happen, you have to come over here to either your alert list if you want it on there all the time, which you probably don't, or alert pop-up, which is probably the one you do want, right? So we'll just take this window, get it kind of out of the way, and now we'll test our star alert, and there it is. It's junk text, but it's just a test, and there's the stars you would get by whoever would donate it. So the same principle basically applies, that you want to take this link, right, and copy this link, and then go into OBS and do a second browser source, because the first one would be for your alert box, right? So this one, I actually want to rename it. So this would be alert box, right? Now we're going to make a second one. And that would be, Facebook alert box. You could do Streamlabs alert box in the first one, or Twitch alert box, whatever you want. But here now we paste in the link for the alert that we want, and we hit OK. Now here's the thing that trips us up. If you're using Streamlabs OBS, you're basically kind of screwed here, because what you need to do here is right click on this and click on interact. And I don't think you can see me doing it, which is why making these videos are so... Oh, actually, yeah, hopefully you can. Okay. It's just confusing to know what you can see and what you can't see sometimes. So you want to click on interact here. Actually, let me just... So interact. And that actually, like I said, opens up the web page where you can then type in your settings, your email address, and or your password. And then you can log in, and then it should be that white, transparent rather. It looks sort of white, but it's not. It's transparent. And so now, when we close that, now when we test our star alert, there you have that. So you have to use a system of browser captures and URL widget URLs basically to make your alerts happen. And so that's basically it, because you would come to like your dashboard, right? You would just come here, and the settings also exist for such a thing. You could change the layout if you want to just have it like less of a rectangle or square and have this other sort of version. I guess if we now hit, okay, I just gotta copy this and then actually make our alert box the correct URL. Okay, so now it's clear. Now we're just gonna make it so that I can click in between these. So here's the follow, right? That's the follow from Streamlabs. Sorry about this mess. And then you hit test for the stars, and there's your Facebook update. And again, sorry about the messy background, but I do think you get it. And when I move it around, you see that the overlay of the notification is covering the video. So this is also a priority box. I think it's probably a little obvious at this point, but if we take the display capture and drag it all the way to the top, it's like layers in Facebook. I vanished down here, and even if we now go and hit like the follow and subscription, right? You hear it, but you don't actually see it.
This is a test.
And that's because the display capture is above the alert box, the Facebook alert box, and the webcam that we're using. So we'll just drop that back down and come back here. All right, so what else would there be? I think that's just about it, right? So you can use whatever amount of sources you want to build a scene that looks the way you would like it to. And then you would make a Streamlabs account that you attach to your Twitch account. In addition to Twitch, right, you can also come to your account. You do want to probably leave it attached to Twitch, because I guess it's just like the leader in the market right now. But I've got Twitch, YouTube, Mixer, Facebook, and Periscope all linked. So I'm pretty happy with that. And I just leave Twitch as the primary. And the reason you want to pick a primary and stick with it is because Streamlabs will upload your scenes to some server somewhere, and then every time you log in here, your scenes will be automatically delivered, like uploaded and such. So here's your dashboard. We were in the widgets, and then I came back up to dashboard. These are all the alerts that I've gotten while I've been playing. Right, Gould Gaming, Nerdy Shirts here, 100 bits, and Birthday 100, congrats on the sub. You guys probably remember putting that in, so cool. This is everybody who follows me on Facebook and, not Facebook, I'm sorry, on Twitch and YouTube. Facebook's integration isn't that good. We're lucky we even have the alerts. So Stream Boss essentially works the same way. You would copy the widget and stick it in a browser tab, and the options are down here. So settings, if you want your healing, if you want the person on there to be able to heal themselves, you check that box. Damage per follower, damage per bit, per subscriber, blah blah blah. Kill animation, you can have a whole bunch of different animations. I guess you could also write your own custom CSS, but I'm not sure where you stick the file, to be honest. Most things also allow for transparent backgrounds. And so that's Stream Boss. The jar's pretty straightforward. Basically would copy the widget, come over here, add a browser source, and this would be the tip jar. Tip jar should have, I would say it should have a jar. There it is. It just takes a second, but this glass is always there. You can also change the glass to any one of these. All right, so we'll put on, I guess, the snifter. And now when we come back, might have to refresh browser when scene becomes active. We could do that. I think it's refreshing right now. No, maybe not. So let's add a second scene, which is, again, a collection. Stream Deck, you would be clicking between these two in order to do some sort of like emergency slate type of thing. And I don't know. Oh, you know what? I think that I have to come down here and hit save settings. Now, here we go. Now it's the snifter. I'm gonna put it back to the original. And that's basically that. My little sponsor thing in the corner. Where are we here? Get rid of this. Sleep for a second. So I have this little Gould Gaming and 8-Bit Designs. What would that be called? I think that's my sponsor banner. Yeah. So my sponsor banner is a heart. And if we go to properties, it is indeed a widget. So let's go, actually we'll go back to the editor, back to Gould Gaming, which is a preset that I made for you guys to mess around with. And then when we head back to our dashboard now, we have sponsor banner, and it has a heart, so you can kind of identify pretty easily. I kind of had to make this. I hide the widget for 30 seconds and I show it for 30 seconds, so it's a minute. It's half a minute on, a half a minute off. I have a background color chosen, and then I have the Gould Gaming banner and the 8-Bit Designs logo. Shoutouts, Jen, how's it going? And that basically is what happens. For 15 seconds we have Gould Gaming, and then for 10 seconds you have the 8-Bit Designs logo. So it comes in and out, and then when it's in, it also alternates while it's in. So I hope that people find that to be eye-catching and attention-grabbing, because there's a little bit of motion that I let it have. And that's about it. I personally don't choose to use any others because I feel like, well, I use the event list, so we'll hit that up real quick right now. The event list you're probably familiar with. It's this conveyor belt of contributions. This is all fake, just for examples. Test hosting. Okay. Donation. Okay, so John is a donation, and Susie, whatever. So you can choose here which events, type of events you want in here. Theme color, theme, and a whole bunch of fairly obvious settings. Even if you have a max events of 4, you could still just like take the widget and drag it down to a point in the scene where you're only showing 2 or 3 if you want to. And then you later on, if you feel like you have a game that you don't mind taking up more real estate with a widget for, you could just drag it up, and now you've got your 4 showing. Depends on how you want to do it. You can have the animations change to bounce in, down. That's, I don't know. I leave a lot of this kind of on default because I feel like if everyone's, I mean, you could do whatever you want and then feel free to change it, but I feel like if people see these things that they're used to and they behave in a way that they're kind of used to, it's like a comfort factor. Stream labels I don't use. I don't think anyone would have to. Chat box is for if you want to put the chat on your stream instead of people like just reading chat. You can have chat come up on your video if you want to, and that would be similarly here. Click the browser tab, and then this is going to be hard to read if it's even legible at all, but we'll do chat widget, right? And then we paste this in, and now you have, in theory, I think you actually have to chat. I don't think the so test.
To quiet your world.
There it is. It showed up here. Again, it is hard to read, but you can probably see it. Inertiatic test and the icons. So that would be how you have scrolling chat on your video. And so I think that's a pretty good start for things. If you guys have any questions or there's anything I didn't touch on that I should have, let me know and I can make another video. elaborating, or I could just probably let you know through a message or something what you might be doing right or wrong. So I hope this is a good start, and the chat widget URL thing is kind of a mess, so I'm glad I was able to explain it to you, and I hope it saves you guys time getting up and started. So I wish you luck. Good luck streaming. I hope it works out and you guys have a good time with it, and that it leads to all the best. So thank you very much, everybody, and good luck. Let me know how it goes. Bye.